It's goals! 300 reasons why Salah is better than Eden Hazard based on statistics and XG.
Spurs have dominated that game.
Possession-wise. Welcome back, guys. Today we are doing something different. We're ranking things that people would say where you look at them and go, at the back of your head, that guy has zero ball knowledge, does he? People love throwing it about, but what does it really mean? So today, yeah, I thought we'd rank that. How are we going to do this? S tier, we're going to go, you have zero ball knowledge. It's the peak of peak stupidity and football illiteracy, zero ball knowledge. And F, well, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't make sense. You're a waffler. You're a waffler. Yeah, so S tier, zero ball knowledge. F tier, not. Anyone who says that they rate midfielders based on their goal contributions. I often see someone say midfielder X is better than midfielder Y and proceed to show their goals and assists. It's harder to rank those box-to-box players or those deep-lying playmakers because they might often not get their goals and assists, but they provide a flow to the games that might not provide an assist, but they provide that pre-assist that sets up a goal. Not looking to go too far into things, you can obviously watch football with your eyes and see that X is better than Y, and that's what I tend to do. But a great way of explaining this was Pavel Nedved, who didn't put up the statistics that Henry did in 2003 and 4, because Pavel laid it down on the big stage in the Champions League. Yeah, I'd say this is B. I mean, you can rank midfielders off that, but it's not a big deal because there's a lot of midfielders you can't base off it. So we'll put this in B. See, the thing about Arsenal is they always try and walk it in.
Right, Harry, did you see that ludicrous display last night?
If you don't know what that is, that's a reference to the IT crowd.
What was Wenger thinking, sending Walcott on that early?
The thing about Arsenal is they always try and walk it in.
You know, if you went down to a pub now and you know nothing about football, go in and say...
The thing about Arsenal is they always try and walk it in.
I mean, that line is the epitome of zero ball knowledge, so it goes straight into S tier. And see, the thing about Arsenal is they always try and walk it in. 90% of shorts related to football. What are you trying to say? Do you know what? I think that's a bit harsh. I have a lot of really informative stuff on my feed that a lot of good creators around me produce.
You think you could get 8 goals in the Prem? I said 10 with pens.
Which means that I'm putting it in D tier. That footballers are a bunch of grass fairies, or it takes no skill to play football. Cough, cough, Dana White. Who says that? The point of them diving is because they cheat, which I hate, but that's kind of not what this guy's saying. When people say that, they think they're being fairies, which isn't true. They're just cheating. So yeah, I would say this is a height of zero ball knowledge. They're cheating, so I'll put this in A. Using terminology like cam, CDM, and C centre-back in random situations where it's irrelevant screams 12-year-old who plays FIFA Mobile. Why FIFA Mobile? Is that a big thing? We all have grown up in this FIFA era. It has kind of rotted our brain in terms of saying certain positions. If I said to my dad, oh yeah, he plays cam, he'd be like, what the f are you on about, mate? I'll be honest, I'll be the first to admit, I probably did say things like this when I was 15, because I played FIFA 13, 14, and to an extent, I think it is ridiculous. It's got to the point now where you see people online say he plays right centre-back, or left centre-back, or right centre-mid, or left centre-mid. It's like, oh God. You don't have to be that specific. I appreciate you say attacking mid, defending mid, but when they say like left centre-back, right centre-mid, left centre-mid, yeah, that for me, yeah, it's a B tier. Supporting PSG, supporting City. I knew no one who supported either club pre-2008. So it's like anywhere, like you are successful, you draw in new fans because the kids just want to support the team that's doing well. Some of my friends who their families have no connections to United, but they were Londoners who supported Man United. It's because they were the good team at the time. So I get the reasons behind it, but it is a little bit. I'm from West London. I support Chelsea. My family is 5 generations of Fulham. There was only 2 teams we were going to be supporting. Not zero ball knowledge for me. I'll put it as C. That Haaland is an overrated poacher with nothing more to give. People have zero idea what it takes to be the best players in the world. Haaland, probably the best poacher there's ever been. We're talking like Fowler, Lineker, can't think of any off the top of my head, but those 2 times 10 with pace, strength. Like, people complain that his variety of goals aren't that good. Yeah, because he's spent probably his whole career optimizing what he's good at, and he breaks the Premier League goal scoring record in his first season. That's what he's practiced to do. A tier of zero ball knowledge. Hazard is overrated. Saying that Hazard is overrated makes it obvious that you didn't watch him play. I'll admit, as a Chelsea fan, I watched him week in, week out. He got carried a lot of the time, but he had those moments and he was on Messi and Neymar's level. So for me, yeah, and Hazard is overrated shout. A B tier. One of the things that pisses me off is Lucas should have started in the Champions League final. That is such a niche thing to say that someone has zero ball knowledge. Okay, so what he's saying is Kane should have always started, and people suggesting that Lucas should have started in that Champions League final means they have zero ball knowledge. It's very niche. Yeah, I thought about it recently, and a lot of people were like, oh, why didn't Pochettino start Lucas in the final because he scored that hat-trick? Kane is your main striker, clearly the best striker in the world, and still was a bagsman around that time. So to say that he shouldn't start despite him being injured recently, Kane just doesn't deliver in finals and we know that. But to suggest that Lucas should have started in front of Kane in a Champions League final doesn't sit well with me. So yeah, it's a B tier. Anyone that gets themselves all worked up about XG to sound clever, the most effing BS statistic going. XG is absolute horse. Unless you're gambling, then it's good shit. I'm a bit on the fence with XG. I can completely understand why it's worthwhile. The only time I ever look at it is when I'm betting and it's like 0-0 and they've got an XG of 1. You're like, well, there's probably way more to it than that, but that's the only efficient reason that I find to use it at the moment. I would give XG I'm not saying it's a zero ball knowledge because that makes no sense. So I'll give it a C. It's in the middle. Somebody on this sub said KDB was better than Zidane. KDB, machine, absolute machine, goal scoring, assists, absolute monster, one of the modern greats. To compare it to Zizou, just absolute magician, made so many people fall in love with the game. I'm sure kids nowadays will say that KDB made them fall in love with the game, but if you were to put a monkey in front of a screen watching KDB play football and watching Zidane play football, I think the monkey would start shaving his head and headbutting people because it would be quite obvious that Zizou would make you fall in love with the magic of his feet. Does that make sense?
It's a bit of a weird analogy.
That's an A tier. Zero ball knowledge for me. Anyone who uses FIFA ratings to judge and compare players. Yeah, I think, like I was saying earlier, FIFA and EA and FC or whatever they call it nowadays has rotted the brains of young football fans for the past 20 years now. Because in my head, I've got Ronaldo 2009 is as good as a Vinicius 2024. No. You start to compare players based on their numbers rather than just watching the sport. It's another form of stat shagging. So that's a D for me. Whenever someone mentions kilometres ran to show who the best players are, who the fuck is saying that? Manchester City fan with the name Catfish1. Is he baiting us here? Who in their right mind mentions kilometres to say who the best players were other than Diego Simeone? I mean, that's in a tier of its own. That's not even an S tier. That makes no sense. Who does that? When they throw names like Maradona and Pele, but they weren't alive when they were kicking ball. We all grew up with our own parents who watched football before us. My dad saying that despite Maradona being a cheating he was the best player he's ever witnessed play the game, better than Messi or Ronaldo. I'm allowed to take that opinion and make my own opinion from that. I think you can form an opinion of that, to be honest. So that in itself is an F tier for me as well. Van Dijk is on the same level as defence legends. Van Dijk is one of the best defenders the Premier League has seen. He might not be as consistent as those who came before him, but to say he's not on the same level as them doesn't really tickle my fancy. So that for me is a D tier because it's not the worst. I get the debate, but yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Chris, why are you laughing for?
Thank you guys for watching. It was a bit something different today. If you enjoy things like this, guys, let me know in the comments and yeah, I'll get around to them again. Thanks for watching. Peace.